number 15 BYU beating number 23 Utah in the Holy War 24-21. Let's go over the highest graded players, starting off with the BYU Cougars. Two highest grade players were both safeties. I'll get them later on in the show. But Tanner Wall, 88, and Faletau Satuala with an 85. Bruce Mitchell, the center, 82.1. Carson Ryan, the tight end, I believe the former Utah tight end.
Correct.
Yeah, 76.8. Great revenge game there for Carson Ryan. Jack Kelly, linebacker, 72.5. And Bear Bachmeier, the true freshman quarterback, with a really solid 74.8 grade in the win. Now for Utah, their highest grade players in the loss, you got Jackson Benny, the safety, 80.5. Cornerback Smith Snowden, 75.2. Logan Fano, the edge rusher and brother of Spencer Fano, the right tackle, 72.9. Daniel Bray, the running back, 71.6. Lavani Damuni, the linebacker, 69.2. And Devin Dampier, the quarterback for Utah, with a 75.7 grade in the loss for Utah. Dalton, what told the story for you in this game?
I think there's multiple layers to BYU's identity right now. One, play excellent defense. They did that in this game for sure. Number two, run the football. LJ Martin was fantastic. And then I think number three, the X factor when they really need to get the passing game going. You want a crazy stat? I'll give you a crazy stat, a bad one sort of, and then it is a bad one, and then I'll give you a good one. Without play action, BYU had -3 passing yards in this game. Without play action. The good news is that all year, one of the themes is that Bear Bachmeier has been one of the best play action passers in the country. In fact, after this game, he now has the third best play action passing grade in the country. So when you talk about the way that LJ Martin and this team, and Bachmeier included, is running the football and the way their offensive line is playing, you get the play action going, you're good. In this game, Bear Bachmeier, 90.2 play action passing grade. EPA per pass with play action, 0.426. Good stuff. Crazy number. Without play action, -1.5. Basically losing a point and a half, expected points at least, when they are just dropping back and throwing the football. This is a game where they had to stick to the formula, stick to their identity. Bachmeier was outstanding with the play-action passing. The run game was outstanding really for both teams, but BYU especially in the way that it sets up. And I can't credit Aaron Roderick enough for the way that he's been calling these games. It's a little bit different than last year when they had Jake Retzloff. It's more run-centric. It's more play-action-centric, and just doing the things that Bachmeier is comfortable with. And now you come out of this game with, obviously, him as your true freshman quarterback. You're 7-0 with a true freshman quarterback, which is silly. You got more heavyweight fights coming like this one against Iowa State, against Texas Tech, against Cincinnati. There's more games that are going to decide if BYU is going to make the Big 12 title game here, especially those three big ones. But the fact that Bachmeier and this team can stick to their identity and now fight, it just feels like everything for BYU just feels, especially with this quarterback, it feels like another step. Okay, we beat a middling team in Colorado on the road. We fell behind. Cool. Now we beat a little bit better team in Arizona. Fall behind early, find a way to win it late. Now you got the big rival Utah. You come back home. You know you're going to get a fist fight. You know one way or the other this is going to be a 3-point game. And Utah is giving you problems in the drop back game. But the fact that BYU, again, their biggest strength is cohesion and identity. It's just their ability to play together and continue to play to their identity for the entire game. I think in this game, when Bachmeier needed to be big in big moments, especially with the play-action passing as he's been all year, he came up big again. It's unbelievable stuff for a true freshman to be playing like this and be 7-0.
Yeah, I want to shout out BYU's defense in this one because Utah was 1 for 5 on fourth down. So shout out BYU's defense for standing tall on some massive plays in this game, but also some head-scratching decisions, I would say, by Kyle Whittingham in this one, too, because Utah passed up field goals 3 times in this game to go for it on fourth down, and the Cougars stonewalled them every single time. So in the first quarter, they passed up a 39-yard field goal on a 4th and 1. They did not convert in the first quarter. They passed up a 45-yard field goal in the second quarter on a 4th and 7. Did not convert that either. Passed up a 25-yard field goal on 4th and 3 in the third quarter. Didn't convert that either. Utah has a true freshman kicker right now in Dylan Curtis, who was one of the highest-rated kickers in the country coming out of high school, but he has been a little bit shaky all year. He's outside the top 100 in field goal grade this year among all kickers in the country. Whittingham did not let him attempt a single field goal in this game. And Dalton, you actually pointed this out during the game. He sent him out for a field goal try, I believe on the 4th and 7. And BYU called a timeout, and he missed the practice kick. And then Whittingham said, you know what? No, we're going for it. So I think Whittingham might have got spooked by that right there. So, you know what? We're not letting him kick at all in this game. And I get it. He's a true freshman kicker, but a little bit up and down all year too. In a raucous road environment like that, where it's the biggest game of the year for both programs. So I get, thinking he's not ready for the moment, but at least let him try. I think one of those field goals out there too. It just felt like right there that Whittingham was willing to let him attempt that field goal. And once he missed the practice kick, did not let him kick another ball except for extra points the rest of the game. And again, credit to BYU for standing tall on every single 4th down, it felt like, in this game. Again, 1 for 5 for Utah on 4th down in this one. That, I think, really told the story of this game.
Absolutely. I think that's a big factor. We talked about it with Iowa State and their kicker injuries and the decision tree that goes into this with your kickers. There was actually another game that we're going to talk about right after this that I think the inability to make field goals is big, especially when you're in this tight defensive game. And you knew this BYU-Utah, this was going to be roughly the score. We both had the score right around here. The other way for Utah, yes, but you knew there wasn't going to be many more points scored than there were in this game. And those 3 points, and especially when you're talking about giving them away two, three times, multiple times, that's a huge difference, right? And if you're a coach and you feel like you're handcuffed by a poor kicker situation, this is what can happen. And then in a game like this where you go, man, even if I had 2 out of those 3 field goals, I win.
Yeah,
I win the ball game. I mean, it's that simple. So, no, you're right. It makes a huge difference. And for BYU to stand up to a very physical team and a team that ran the ball well all night in Utah, again, their defense, they just come through when it matters most, and that's big time.
Yeah, I just wish Whittingham, at least on like the 4th and 7, like even try it. Just see if he makes it or not. Like, I know he missed the practice kick, but like let him see. And I know he's been up and down all year, but he was a highly rated kid coming out of high school.
Well, and look, if they now have 2 losses in the Big 12, right? And there's 2 undefeated teams, including BYU at the top, right? If Utah wants to get back in this race, that's going to come up again, and that kid's going to have to make a big kick. We will see if it happens. You get a handful, probably at least a half dozen teams every year that that go, boy, I wish they had a kicker. I wish we had a kicker, and we would be just fine. But that's the nature of college football sometimes too. You know what? Just about every team in the NFL's got a good kicker, and if you don't, you're cutting them in a week. You're cutting them that week. We've seen that a couple times this year. But college football, if you don't have a kicker, it changes a lot. It really does, and that you could feel it with some of these decisions for Utah here.
What is the most impressive part of BYU's win?
Yeah, I mean, the defensive effort all the way around was really good, but let me credit a guy who we weren't even sure was going to play coming into this game, the linebacker number 17, Jack Kelly. I mean, we weren't sure he was going to come in and play. He was such an essential part. I had mentioned that linebackers were going to be a huge part of this game, and credit to him. He walks in there. He plays almost every snap. He plays off the edge sometimes. He's their highest-graded run defender in this game, a 76.6 run defense grade, 4 stops, big sack that sealed the game late in the 4th quarter. One of that 4th and 3 stop that you mentioned in the 3rd quarter, that was Jack Kelly getting to Devin Dampier in time before he broke the chains there. I mean, he just this group of linebackers they have, when you talk about Kelly and Isaiah Glasker and Siani Acera, I would argue that's the best part of their defense. It's just having those guys. But Kelly was such a big factor. When you talk about a guy who can chase a mobile quarterback like Devin Dampier, who can get off the edge and rush the passer and do so many different things. Again, we weren't sure he was going to play in this game. The Cougars are sure happy that he did.
Yeah, absolutely. He was outstanding, and I want to shout out the guys right behind him, too, the BYU safeties in this one with a 91.2 coverage grade combined for BYU safeties in Faletau Satuala and Tanner Wall. Satuala with an 89.5 grade, Wall with an 89 coverage grade. In this one, Satuala had a coverage stop and a forced incompletion, while Tanner Wall had an interception in this one, too, and both had a coverage stop as well. So BYU safeties were outstanding. Really, BYU's entire middle of their defense was outstanding. We knew BYU's linebackers were the heart and soul of their defense with Jack Kelly and Isaiah Glasker and other guys like Acera, too, who had another good game at linebacker. But these safeties for BYU, like I said, a 91.3 coverage grade combined for both of BYU safeties in this game. Just a great effort by Sattuwal and Tanner Wall, the two highest graded players for BYU in this game.
Yeah, the interception from Tanner Wall really seemed to I think that was the play where you looked at and you go, oh boy, look, BYU is they're gonna find a way to win this game, right? I mean, the deep ball from Dampier and Tanner Wall going up high pointing that interception, just a terrific play. I mean, and it feels like every week it's, again, and that's the theme of BYU. Every week on defense especially, it's somebody different. It's Jack Kelly. It's Glasker. It's Tanner Wall. One week it'll be Evan Johnson, the corner. It could be Siani Acera like last week with Kelly out. I mean, it's just somebody different every week, and they have such, again, aside from maybe the pass rush, which it kind of comes and goes, but especially in the back seven, this is a complete defense that it's very hard to make big plays against.
Definitely. So massive win for BYU, taking down Utah 24-21. BYU continues their undefeated season so far this year.